But MBS understands Saudi Arabia is vulnerable here. And I think, finally, for both parties, it's a way to send a message to the United States. Clearly, from Saudi Arabia's position, it means the Middle East is open, market is open, and the U.S. is not the only bidder. So, MBS sends the signal: don't take us for granted. We have other options. I think Iran sends the same message to the Americans. You see, we're not isolated, number one, and don't think you can use Saudi Arabia as the tip of an American spear or an Israeli spear to contain us in the Gulf. I mean, I think it's a disappointment to the Israelis. Clearly, they looked at Saudi Arabia and the UAE as sort of, I don't know, an effort to contain Iranian influence in the Gulf, security partners for both of them. And I think now that Iran is part of the picture, it clouds what had been a pretty clear picture for the Israelis, that at some point, Mohammed bin Salman would make a decision to normalize his relationship with Israel. I just don't see that now, less because of the Iranian factor and more because of this government's extremist policies toward the Palestinians. I would judge the prospects of an Israeli military strike against Iran's nuclear facilities as very low. Remember, it's been 5 years now since the withdrawal from the nuclear agreement. And those years included an American strike against Soleimani, which was a huge development, and still unresponded to by Iran. I'm sure it's a debt they believe they still want to repay. But in the last 5 years, you've managed to go through this period without an escalating cycle that could produce an attack. And it's because neither Iran nor Israel, nor the United States right now is interested, willing to conduct such an operation because it's so unpredictable. And the protests seem to have died down. They could start up again, but to me it seemed almost clear from the beginning that these would not be able to dislodge this regime. It controls all of the repressive powers of the state. However heroic this movement was, it lacked organization and leadership. You'd need open disagreement within the regime and maybe even evidence that parts of the security services or military were siding with the demonstrators. You didn't see much of that would lead you to predict that this regime was in imminent danger of collapsing. And I don't think it is. So it manages to keep on keeping on.
But how about the pressure of the sanctions? Because
that too. I mean, unemployment is high. The rial has lost incredible value to the dollar. So they manage. I'm not sure I have a better answer. But no, I would remain hopeful that at some point there will be changes that may allow a relationship between Iran and the West to develop. I don't know what it would take. I don't know under what circumstances. It would start, however, with two things. One, a deal with the U.S. to free the 3 U.S.-Iranian dual nationals that are held hostage. And number two, a return to some sort of negotiation, impose certain constraints on Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. I think those, if you could produce both of those, you'd at least set the stage for a more hopeful period. But I think it's going to be a long time before the US and the Islamic Republic entered into anything that you and I would consider normal peaceful relations.